How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to another Flesh and Blood video here on Red Zone Rogue. You knew it was coming, I knew it was coming. Today we are talking about the Fabled from Outsiders. This is Plague Hive. You know what? You can hardly see it here. Let's pull it up on the screen. There you go. We have Plague Hive. This is something that was leaked a little while ago. I got a lot of messages on it. I've known about this card for a decent amount of time, but I didn't want to talk about leaks, and so I wanted to wait for the appropriate time, and it just so happens that I pulled one at the pre-release. Check it out. Check out this Plague Hive. It is a rainbow foil version. We prophesized, no, that's not the right word for it, theorized that the Fabled card from Outsiders was going to be an Assassin Fabled, and it turns out that's not the right screen. Here we go. This is the right screen. Turns out we're right. We weren't wrong. So we were right mostly, but we definitely weren't wrong. Plague Hive is an Assassin Fabled. It also is a Ranger Fabled, but it is indeed the card that is going right here, right in front of Uzuri. And there we go. So let's talk about Plague Hive in today's video. I'm going to tell you my full opinions on the card, if I think it's good, if I think it's bad, and also my opinion just on mechanically unique Fabled in general, because that's kind of like a discussion that's going around, and I have some opinions on it. They're not like super hard opinions, but I don't know. We'll see. I have a feeling like this is one of those situations where half the people are going to agree and half the people are going to disagree, so half of you are probably going to disagree with me, so that's going to be fun. But let's talk about Plague Hive. This card is, it's a thing. So, Plague Hive, and you know what, let's get the old manual zoom on in here. All right, so Plague Hive. Plague Hive is an Assassin Ranger resource gem. It is a yellow pitch gem, the first and currently only yellow pitch gem. It is legendary, which means you can only have one of them in your deck, but it is the Fabled rarity. Also, just take a look at that art, man. Mark Pool art looks so cool, and I love how it looks like it looks like a skull. This card looks awesome. And it says, when you pitch Plague Hive, for each opposing hero, choose Inertia, Frailty, or Blood Rot Pox at random and create a token under their control. So basically, whenever you pitch this, you choose Blood Rot Pox, Frailty, or Inertia at random, and each opponent will get one of these at random. So that's the Plague Hive. First of all, my initial impressions. I think this card is awesome. I love it. It is basically the perfect Fabled for me, in the perfect set for me, right? It's an Outsiders, a set where like Ninja, Ranger, and Assassin are the three classes. Ranger and Assassin being my two favorite classes, easily slam dunk. This card is my two favorite classes. This is Ranger and Assassin. This is the Red Zone Rogue Fabled, right? So I love it on flavor. I love the way it looks, and I actually really dig the way it plays. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Okay. So, at the ground level, right, this is a yellow pitch card that doesn't block and has a random effect. This card will absolutely win some games where you otherwise would not be able to win, and at the same time, it will also lose you some games because it'll sit in your hand as a yellow card and you can't block with it. So this is a very polarizing card. Sometimes it'll win you games. Sometimes it'll do absolutely nothing or actively be bad. And because of those two extremes, I honestly think the card's quality and its power level is probably somewhere in the middle. Like, it's not stone unplayable, no. But I don't think it's like super busted either, because sometimes when you pitch this, you're going to get the token that does nothing for the situation, right? You're going to pitch this against like Icelander, and you're like, oh, I really want that Inertia token, right? Let's pull up the tokens here. Well, I really want that Inertia token to, like, you know, get goozle their to like goozle their arsenal. But then you're gonna end up getting like a Frailty token, right? You get to the Frailty, and it's gonna do like absolutely stone nothing, right? Or like the opposite could be true, right? You'll be like, oh, I really want the Frailty or the Blood Rot Pox to really just stick it to this, you know, aggro player, this red line aggro player. They can't pay for the Blood Rot, so they're going to take 2. Or the Frailty is going to give all their weapon attacks -1. Like, it's going to be good against Warrior and Ninja, and then you get the Inertia, and it does, like, absolute stone nothing, right? So, in that case, when it does absolutely stone nothing, it is a yellow pitch card that doesn't block, and then has no effect because, you know, the token didn't do anything. But there are other times where you pitch this, like I did at my pre-release. Shout out to my last round opponent, Kevin. It was the final turn of the game. He was attacking me. I had a block and he had a pump. And then I pitched Plague Hive to one of my Seeker pieces. And the Seeker pieces are the ones that have the instant effect, right? So I was able to do this on my opponent's turn. So here we have like Seeker's Hood, right? So I pitched Plague Hive to this card while he was attacking me, right? So to prevent 1 damage and to opt. And then we had a roll. He was at 1 life and he had no cards in his hand. So if I rolled a Blood Rat Pox, he just died. He died during end phase. Blood Rat Pox pops. Let's pull up Blood Rat Pox here. Blood Rat Pox pops. He takes 2 damage because he can't pay the 3 because he has no hand. And then he just dies. And that's exactly what happened. We rolled the dice. It was a 6-sided dice that was labeled 1, 2, and 3, and we just like, okay, you know, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Roll the dice, and I think it was number 2. We wanted a 2 for Blood Rot, and it was Blood Rot, and I won. It's hard to say whether or not I would have won that game anyway, but it was like down to the wire. You know, we were like fatiguing out. We only had a couple cards left in the deck, and we were both like at 1 or 2 health. So I do think this card can sometimes win you games when you otherwise wouldn't be able to. It literally happened to me at the pre-release. But at the same time, like I said, sometimes it's going to do absolutely stone nothing depending on who you're playing against. And because of that, I actually think this card is good, but not busted. So my overall evaluation of Plague Hive is that I think it's a pretty good card. I think it's a really, really cool card, but I don't think it is super busted. If you're playing Ranger and Assassin, you probably play this if you have it, but it comes at a real cost, right? Like, it's a yellow pitch card, right? So it's actually kind of awkward for certain attacks, right? So you can't just pitch this and then attack with your, you can't pitch it and attack with your daggers as an assassin, right? So you can pitch it and attack with a dagger, like a single Spider's Bite, but you can't pitch it and then, you know, follow up with like a 1-drop, right? You still have to have more cards and more resources to do that with. So I definitely think it is a real, like, you know, a disadvantage. You do get advantage out of it, and it's like a pretty cool advantage. I do want to say right now, for Ultimate Pit Fight, you just play it. You just play it. And every UPF deck that you can play this in, every Assassin and Ranger UPF deck, you play it because it affects every opponent, and that's just fun. That's just fun. So yeah, you definitely play this in UPF. I will be playing this in my No Fuse Lexi deck. I think it's really great in Ranger in particular because you can pitch it and then use the resource to activate your bow and then also to fire your 1-drop arrow. So I think it's actually like pretty good. For Assassin, it's like, I don't know, like Uzuri, it's fine in Uzuri. A lot of the times you're going to want to like use her ability to like sneak out whatever attacks that you're coming in with. But a lot of your attacks are just going to cost 2 otherwise, like Command and Conquer and Shakedown and all that kind of stuff. So like this will still pay for most of the stuff that you got going on in the deck. So in Uzuri, I don't think it's too bad at all. In Arachne, in either Arachne, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. Probably. And then other heroes like Azalea, I think it's all right, and Riptide, I think it's all right too. So, you know, I think this is one of those cards that it's pretty good. Definitely has a downside of like not blocking and being yellow and having a random effect. So it's got actually like it's got a lot of downsides, but the upside is definitely there, and it's kind of a fun card too because you get to roll some dice or you know however else you want to randomly decide what token they get. So my opinion of the card, final verdict on Plague Hive after playing with it for like 3 games or whatever. I think it's pretty good, but I don't think it's super busted. And when you compare it to like other Fableds out there that are very good and very well played, like is this better than Eye of Ophidia? No. Eye of Ophidia is a 3-pitch and you always get to opt, and opt is like very strong in some heroes. There's no random elements. You can play around it. Is it better than Heart of Fyendel? No. Heart is just great. Gives you like this incremental life over time, especially in like these long grindy fatigue matchups. Is it better than Grandeur of Valahai? So I think that's the better question, because Grandeur pitches for blue and gives you a Seismic Surge token. This pitches for yellow and gives you one of 3 random tokens, right? So Greiner, you always get its effect, and it's a cost reduction effect, whereas these ones are a little bit more aggressive, right? They debilitate your opponent, and sometimes they can outright kill your opponent. I don't know. I'd like to know your opinions in the comment, whether you think Grandeur of Valahai or the Plague Hive is like a better card. And you know what? While we're here, we can go ahead. Ooh, look at these Dragon Shield sleeves. Yo, I have an affiliate link with Dragon Shield down below. Down below, by the way. I think they're actually sending me these, so I'll show these off on the channel when I get them. But anyway, let's go to card galleries and let's show off the Grandeur and just compare them. And while I pull this up, think about your thoughts. That's a weird sentence to say. What are your thoughts on mechanically unique Fabled cards? Because in Dynasty, we did get a reprint. We did get a reprint of a Fabled card. So here by the way, this is the Grandeur of Valahai, and then here is Plague Hive, right? So very similar, right? They're both like restricted to class. This is a Guardian one. When you pitch it, you always get a Seismic Surge. You can only have one of them in your deck, but this one pitches for blue. Where Plague Hive pitches for yellow, and you get like a random effect. I'm very curious to know people's thoughts on these two, because Grandeur sees like minimal play, I would say. I like playing Grandeur, and you'll see me play with it in an upcoming gameplay video. But other than that, like I really like it in Volda, for example. I think Grandeur is sweet in Volda. But it doesn't make it into a lot of other Guardian decks, right? I mean, there's a reason that Grandeur doesn't make it into like Oldhim and Bravo, right? Not blocking is a very real downside. Like not being able to block is a very real downside. And so that's where I'm at with Plague Hive. You know, it doesn't block. Might win you the game, maybe, on an off chance, and it's the right situation, and you get the the 33.333 chance to get the right one. But yeah, so my opinion on mechanically unique Fables are, I like them. I do like them. I'm not gonna lie. I like them. I understand the concern, and I think the concern is, just to say both sides of the situation, the concern is that Flesh and Blood will someday print a Fable that is so strong that everyone has to have it in their deck, and it's going to be so expensive because they're so hard to pull. That's the concern, that is going to price people out, right? And then I just can't help but think, are they ever going to print a Fabled better than, let's pull up another card here. Are they ever going to print a Fable better than Eye of Ophidia or Fyendel, Heart of Fyendel? I don't know. Like we have Fableds like this, like the Plague Hive, but they are like restricted, right? You can only play this in 2 classes. You know, it's one more class than the Guardian one, but you know, that's like significantly less classes than Eye of Ophidia, right? And so Eye of Ophidia is a very expensive card, and that I'm gonna use Eye of Ophidia as like the gold standard, like best Fabled in the game. I think it's probably the best outside of weird like build around decks where you're playing with like a library or a Corsham or something. I really think Eye of Ophidia is like the most playable one. Heart is good too. Heart is very good too. It's situational, right? Some decks really want the opt, right? I've actually started putting Eye of Ophidia in my Ranger decks. Now I'm gonna be putting Eye and Plague Hive in my Ranger decks. Oh, these are gonna be expensive decks. But like being able to opt is really good with Azalea. Lets you set up the top of your deck. Being opt is really good with Kano. Lets you set up the top of your deck. Any character that cares about setting up the top of their deck, Eye of Ophidia is like really, really good. And then Heart is just like ubiquitously good. You gain a life when you pitch it if you have lower life, right? And so I think what it really comes down to for me is like I don't hate having Fableds as reprint alternate art things. I don't hate it, but I find it very boring. And that's like my 100% just raw, honest opinion. I find it to be very, very boring. I clicked on Dynasty here. We're gonna pull up the Fabled from Dynasty. And maybe that's just because I already own Command and Conquer, right? And then maybe that's just because like I really like the art on the card, but maybe it's just like I didn't like it enough that I really wanted to spend, $400 on it, right? Like I don't know. Maybe it was because it was like super hard to pull and there's no rainbow foil version. It's only cold foil. Yeah, let's pull up the good old Command and Conquer down here. That is only available, as you can see, in cold foil here. This is the Fabled. It's a reprint, alternate art, Command and Conquer. And this is something that, you know, you could just argue that you shift the rarity down. I really like the gems. I think the gems are super cool, both from a flavor standpoint and from a mechanical standpoint. I like the design of these cards. I like that it's not super overpowered. I like that it like can be really good. I like that it can be a little jank. I like the design of these cards. I think iHankJr, once again, is probably the best one and doesn't really have a ton of weaknesses other than it doesn't block, and that's a very big weakness. So I really like the design of the gems, and they just look really cool and they look really classy. I don't know, there's something to be said of just having like this thing. And I know you can say like, oh, what if you just shift it down to shift all the gems down to legendary or majestic or whatever. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you could do that for sure. They would lose a little bit of their, you know, their luster, right? Because, you know, they're not as rare and they're not as special. I don't know. I like where they are now. And I like now when you buy a box of Outsiders, for example, you could pull either a rainbow foil one, which will probably be a lot more affordable, or you can high roll and pull a cold foil one. I do really like that. And you also have Fabled cards that are very cheap because nobody plays them. Like the Blood of Drakai, the one that's from Uprising. And so, like, I don't... If there's one that's like, you have to play this in every deck, yeah, that's very... not great. Not great. I have a lot of faith that they won't do that. In fact, I have a feeling they won't ever print any... This is going to age... I really hope this doesn't age poorly. I don't think they're going to ever print one that's better... a generic one that's better than iHankJr. You can argue that maybe Heart of Fyendel is better. But, I mean, iHankJr gives you, like, real advantage, right? Being able to opt to is, like, it's not nothing. It's not nothing. Gaining one life is also not nothing in Flesh and Blood, but I think you could maybe put them together, but I have a hard time thinking that they're ever going to print something more powerful, a Fabled generically more powerful than these two cards. So, anyway, that's my thoughts. It was a lot more rambly than I thought. Yeah, I love... What tab is this in? There we go. Plague Hive. I love this card. This card's awesome. This is like... If I could design a Fabled, I would design it probably pretty darn close to this. I'm actually glad it's not pitch it, gain a silver. I was really thinking it could be like, oh, pitch it, gain a silver. That would have been like Windmill Slam in every single Assassin deck. Like, Windmill. Easy Windmill Slam. This one's like, not? Like, you have to really think about whether or not you actually care about the tokens. The Blood Rat Pox is really nice, I will say. Blood Rat Pox is real good. So, yeah, I would love to know your opinions on all this stuff in the comments down below. If you'd like to support, then, you know, we are having more folks join as channel members, which I very much appreciate. We also have the Patreon, and we have the online store. We have brand new sleeves. Villain, the Red Zone Assassin sleeves. We have a playmat as well, which will all be officially debuted during the 15K celebration, which is very soon. But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think of the Plague Hive. Dude, this card is so rad. I'm the next time I see Mark Poole, I'm getting him to sign this card. Like, there's no way I'm not getting him to sign my Plague Hive. This one that I opened up from packs from the Outsiders pre-release. Oh, it's just too perfect. Just too perfect. Yeah, so anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. I'm going to circles now. See you later.